Hi, I'm Dr. Ellen Graham, instructor of voice at the University of Cincinnati in music production and jazz, and also a professional singer. I started singing in choirs and did that all through high school, and also did a lot of musicals when I was in high school. And while I was doing that, I started private lessons in voice and piano. And from there, I decided that I wanted to major in music in college. So I auditioned for voice performance programs at a number of universities and have a bachelor's degree in vocal performance. I decided to go back to school and get a doctorate so that I could teach at a university. I've done a lot of different things as a performer. I started out doing a lot of musical theater, but I have also worked in opera. I've sung in opera chorus professionally, as well as a principal artist, a leading character. These days, I do a lot of professional choral work. I also sing some vocal jazz, so I sing with a trio, and we do Andrew Sisters style music. There are so many different ways to be a performer and to have a career in music. I found choir to be a huge part of my growth and development as a musician. I joined high school choir, my freshman year, and it really strengthened my music reading abilities and my ear, so my ability to hear music and learn it quickly and repeat those pitches and rhythms back. It also gave me a really great community. I felt like that is where I felt called to pursue it as a career. First thing I would recommend to somebody who's trying to build their skills as a musician is practice. So practicing efficiently is a really important skill, and what I like to tell my students to do is to make a plan for their practice session. So think about what you do in your lesson or in choir practice or orchestra. You usually start with a warm-up of some kind and then practice a technical skill like scales or arpeggios. Start with those steps, and then when you're working on learning a piece of music, it can be helpful to look at the difficult sections or figure out where there's something particularly challenging and focus on that part first, rather than just starting at the beginning of the song and playing through to the end a bunch of times in a row until you feel like it's gotten better. It can be really helpful to focus on the tricky sections first and then go back and put it all together, and that will make your time more efficient and effective and the process a little bit smoother. You'll find that you'll learn that song and get through that difficult section a lot faster than just doing it over and over again. Of course, repetition is also a big part of practicing, so that's a part too, but be strategic about how you do that. I personally keep a journal, and I just sit down at the beginning of my practice session and write out what it is I want to accomplish for that day or for that week, and then I've got that list right there. You can do that on your phone. It doesn't have to be a piece of paper, but having something written down so that you've got a goal in mind. Learning scales and patterns is a really important part of practicing, and it will make you better at learning music and reading music, but also writing music and improvising. So if you are thinking about going into jazz, improvisation is a big part of being a jazz musician, and honestly being working in rock or pop, like jam sessions are a big part of that. experience, and so having a vocabulary of scales, different types of scales, major scales and minor scales and pentatonic scales, and patterns that are, arpeggios of chords, patterns of chords. Knowing that, having that vocabulary will help you to read music faster. When you see it on the page, you'll know, where the fingers need to go right away because you've practiced that scale before, or if you've heard the scale, you can reproduce it if you're learning a song for the first time. And then just knowing kind of what sounds go well with, what scales go well with certain chords in a jam session is going to make you feel more confident and be more successful when you're improvising or making up a song or a pattern, a melody for the first time. I think it's also helpful to know how to play more than one instrument. So if you're a pianist, if you know how to sing, if you're a guitarist, if you can also play piano, if you play the flute, but a secondary instrument will help you to be a more versatile musician. And the last skill that I think is really important for a musician is to know how to use some technology around the music field. So whether it's recording equipment or a digital audio workstation like GarageBand or Logic, being able to use that technology is going to give you a real leg up in the 21st century music industry. Singing in front of people or playing your instrument in front of people, especially if it's for the first time, can be really intimidating, and it can feel very scary. It's important to remember that the people who are there to hear you sing or see you play or listen to you play, especially if it's your choir director, if you're auditioning for choir or for the school show or for orchestra, they want you to succeed. They want you to come in and perform your best. And so they're there to support you and help you develop and grow as a musician. It's okay to be afraid, but know that when you walk into that room, everybody who's sitting there, judging you, if that's the way you want to think about it, is really there supporting you and wanting for you to be successful and to do well.